Hi, I'm Jill. I'm a recovering codependent. Do you feel overwhelmed by your responsibilities and chaos in your life? You're just trying to find some stability? Do you feel like you give and give and give and there's just nothing left for you? Well, that's how I was 3 years ago when I started my journey in recovering from codependency. I really didn't know what codependency was. However, about 10 years ago, I was told by a counselor I was codependent. I just didn't really grasp what that meant. And I didn't know that codependency is a deeply rooted compulsive behavior that's caused by, family dysfunction, and institutions. And so what I mean by institutions are like cultural and societal norms. Like when my parents were growing up, a lot of the societal norms at that time really fostered codependent behaviors for really both men and women. And then when you look at institutions, that could be your workplace. Think about toxic workplace environments where productivity is pushed and pushed over the well-being of the employees. And you all have maybe worked in a toxic workplace where you do kind of develop some patterns just to keep yourself sane and safe. And there's also institutions like religious and spiritual institutions where sometimes some codependent behaviors are encouraged. And so that's where I was in my walk. And then my life really became unmanageable after the death of my 2.5-year-old grandson, coupled with some family estrangements caused by some of my codependent patterns of behavior. And it was, and also I just had a big fear of abandonment. And that stems from growing up. I was always told, well, if you don't do this, I'm not going to speak to you. If you don't do this, I'm going to disown you. So those types of things were really used as a way to control me and my behavior. And as I saw that abandonment really become real, it just crushed me. I started feeling like there was really no point in anything, that everyone in my life would be better off without me, and I just felt totally hopeless, which is a very scary place to be in. And I decided at that time that I would try going to a CODA meeting. A CODA is Codependence Anonymous. It's a 12-step program. And I remember walking into my first meeting and people were sharing their stories and sharing different things. And as I was listening, they could have been sharing my story over and over and over again. And it was just astounding to me that that so many people struggled with the very same things that I did. And so after a few of the sessions, I decided to share my story. And it was a very emotional moment. It just, a flood of emotions came out. And after the meeting, you're able to ask for feedback. And 3 of the members came up to me, and what they did was so simple but so powerful. They validated my feelings. And for the first time in my life, I was told that what I was feeling was valid. And I don't believe I ever remember a time that was told to me, except for maybe in counseling, but not from just another friend or person. And I felt seen, and those things were powerful. They were a turning point in my recovery and in my life. So I began to look at my patterns of behavior, and I realized that these patterns were actually trauma responses, and they were the things that I did as a kid to keep myself safe. And at the time, they worked. As I was a child, they really worked. As an adult, that's very unhealthy. The need to control and those types of things are very unhealthy. And I began to realize that. And that's why I decided to name this channel Cycle Breaker, because that's what I am. I am a cycle breaker. I looked at these patterns and trauma that has been, it's been passed down for generations in my family. I could actually trace these back 2 or 3 generations. And I decided that it would end with me. And you can decide that too. Never feel like you're too old. Or things are just so hopeless. You're never too old to change. And even if your kids are grown and they see you starting to improve yourself and starting to use better patterns, recovery patterns actually, they'll be inspired by that, and you won't pass it on to them. And so don't feel like you're too old. And if you're feeling totally hopeless, please call the suicide hotline or talk to a trusted friend or a counselor. They're never hopeless. And what you're feeling today, you may not feel that way a month from now, 3 months from now. So it's don't do anything that could change the whole course of your life and those around you. So my reasoning for starting this channel is just to provide you guys with my own experience, strength, and hope, my tips and tricks that I've used in my recovery. I have led a 12-step program. I have done a 12-step program. I live the 12 steps in my daily life, and I'm also a sponsor, and I have a sponsee that I meet with every week. And I would just love to share. I think that there are so many of us walking around with trauma, with dysregulated nervous systems, and there's hope, and there's a way to change that. And so if you like my content, please like and subscribe to my channel.